In this session, we're going to be configuring LDAP integration for ISE. We'll start like we did with Active Directory integration by utilizing the work centers. And again, where this helps us get some general basic information to get started with, also gives us some nice shortcuts to access things. Here we're looking for external identity sources. We can see our previous integration for Active Directory still in place. And here we're going to select LDAP. And clicking and add. A slightly different concept than a join point. We're getting much more of a client-server relationship between ISE and the LDAP server. Here we're going to put in a label, and again this label, as it's created here, will get added to the dictionary for ISE and can be utilized for policy building. And then notice that LDAP support on ISE provides directory schemas for Active Directory, Sun Directory, and Novell eDirectory. Here we're going to select Active Directory. In the case of our lab, this makes a nice convenient resource. That Active Directory server can be accessed via LDAP and provides a nice alternative access to an Active Directory join point in the event that your PSN needs to have network translation in order to reach an identity source, or possibly the number of ports that are required, or a restriction of some sort. LDAP requires just one port for authentication, where Active Directory requires a full suite of ports. Okay, now we'll supply the connection information. Notice the standard port reference. And we'll want to select the authenticated access so we can dig deeper and retrieve more attributes. And for that we need to supply the Active Directory credentials. And of course LDAP needs to have some more specifics in terms of the distinguished name that's being utilized. And we need to provide a search base for LDAP client lookups, LDAP object lookup. Where exactly in the tree structure for LDAP are we going to begin searching for user and group objects? And from this search base, it can only look downward but not upward within that directory structure. In this case, we can do a lookup based on the information that we've already supplied, and it will do a search for the OUs that are available there. In this case, we'll select the top of the tree for our small lab environment. And then likewise for the group search base. Then back to the connection tab, we can test this connection. And we've got success with the administrative or admin distinguished name, that user ID and password combination are working, and we see a rough approximation of the response time to interact with Active Directory over LDAP. Okay, now we'll do in a similar operation that we did with the Active Directory join point. We'll add groups, and we can search in the directory for those. In this case, we're just going to select the contractors group. This will be added to the ISE dictionary for policy building. And then we'll add attributes for a particular user as well. And notice we've got the identical attributes that are listed as we saw under Active Directory. In this case, we'll just select user principal name. And we've got all our information entered in this at this point for LDAP, and we should be able to successfully submit that. Alright, so just in a quick fashion, we added LDAP as an alternate external identity source in addition to Active Directory. Either one of these individual identity sources now can be selected as part of an authentication policy, and that we could drive authentication towards either the same external identity source, as we are in this case using different protocols to get there, or different ones. And this is what the authentication policy ultimately will drive us for, selecting one or more external or internal identity sources to be able to validate credentials and retrieve additional attributes from that interaction with that identity source.